Mic check, mic check, mic check. Can y'all hear me good? Can y'all hear me good? Can y'all hear me good? What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? Echo? Someone said echo? Hold on, let me check this thing. Coming in good. Can y'all hear me okay? All right. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is the real Nathan Daley. As you guys know, I'm your law enforcement translator, and I'm here to provide insight, especially on these difficult topics. You guys, tonight, wasn't planning on doing a stream, but I had to talk about this, the Breonna Taylor case. You guys, I'm very, very passionate about this case for a couple of different reasons. And I've done extensive research on this case, from as much as I could, tapping into resources that I have, getting information that the average person would not have, you guys. And I didn't like what I found out. And I knew from the beginning that something was not right about this case, from start to finish, from what was presented in the media, and also what was said by the police department, right? By the people who were, quote unquote, releasing information. You guys, this was a strong attempt to cover up the bad actions of several police officers. A history, a practice of corrupt practices. And you guys, they have been exposed. And let's not pretend like this was their first time. Absolutely could not be. All the research that I've done, others have done, shown that this is a pattern and practice that some officers at that department participated in. There's a lot to talk about. I'm going to cover a lot of information. I'm going to break this down. I'm going to explain to you what's going on. I'm going to explain to you why these officers have been charged, what they've been charged with, what that looks like, what the penalty is for said charges, and how important this case is as a prime example of what we need the federal government to do in order to root out, expose, and annihilate corruption out of the police profession. It's absolutely necessary in order to turn this thing around, you guys. So listen, before I get into that, as people are coming in, please hit the like button on your way in, you guys. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel. Love to have you as a supporter. Man, we just getting started, and the brother's already dropping. He says, blessings to you, bro. Brandon Matthews, thank you so much for this. Listen, you guys, we are going to cover a lot. Listen, on this channel, I do facts over feelings, you guys. Bless your heart if your feelings get hurt. I will challenge any police officer who thinks that this situation, these officers not being charged, I would challenge anybody who thinks that it's not justified in charging them. There are officers who should have been charged on a state level, and they managed to circumvent around accountability and punishment. I know how they did it, and I have a good reason why they did it. Corruption's a nasty thing, you guys. And once you understand how it works, if someone owes you a favor, this person scratched your back, it's hard to get people in trouble when they have dirt on you, you guys. Then you turn around and look at your police department, you see a bunch of officers with strings on their back. If you tell on me, then I'll tell on you. Remember what you did last summer. You guys, these things go on, they happen. Sometimes it's nepotism. Sometimes someone has dirt on somebody else. Sometimes it's the corruption is so pervasive within leadership that everyone's covering for everyone. And the good guys are being outnumbered by the bad guys in a police department. Yes. People don't like to talk about it, you guys. I keep it real over here. Facts over feelings. Shout out to you, Brandon. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. You guys, listen, before we dive into it all the way, let me do some admin work, right? Let me do some admin work. You know, I'm trying to get fancy with this. Listen, if you see value in the channel, please, you guys, support the channel. A lot of important work being done over here. I'm the only one on YouTube who's going to give you the real information, facts over feelings. The hell with the officers who get their feelings hurt, you guys. I support good officers. I don't support the bad ones. I have no problem calling them out. It is what it is. Put them on the chopping block, you guys. We need them out of the profession. Absolutely out of the profession. The hell with them. The hell with them. They're making us look bad. They're absolutely making us look bad. You guys, listen. Every Wednesday is our dedicated live stream time. Every Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Please mark your calendars. And if you are on social media, you guys, please follow me on this on these platforms, please. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. I'm not on there yet. I'm on there. You can find me there, but I ain't really doing much. But I use Instagram as a way to notify you guys when I'm launching videos. So please follow me on the Real Nathan Daley as well. And please mark your calendar every Wednesday. For those who don't know, next Wednesday we'll be premiering the Brandon Tatum interview. It's a four-part series interview with Brandon Tatum. It's going to be very interesting. We even talked about the Breonna Taylor case as well. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out, right? How well did it age? You know, good conversation just overall, you guys. And I'm looking forward to getting your feedback on that interview. So stand by for that. So where am I missing? My phone. Oh well, I don't need it. What are we talking about, you guys? 4 police officers have been charged with, right, the violation of Breonna Taylor's 4th Amendment right. You guys, for those who don't really understand that this whole thing, the federal government gets involved and they charge people with federal crimes. It's a whole different entity. It's not the state. The state tried to prosecute. Their poor attempts to prosecute and investigate the actions and behaviors of the officers involved at the scene of Breonna Taylor's house. You guys, they did a poor job. One could argue that they covered this up, and they did a poor job of doing that. So those who know, there's a couple things I'm going to go through. Most importantly, let me cover the news and what was released to give you guys an idea of what's going on. And then I'm going to break down the whole issue that's going on right now, what you can expect, what you need to understand. And then I have a video, a walkthrough of the incident. I will show you guys the affidavit that's in question. I have the actual search warrant. I can show you guys now that this whole thing is all done and over with. We're going to cover the evidence. I'm going to break everything down as much as possible, as quickly as possible. And then, you know, as always, I'll take questions at the end. There are no questions that are off the table, you guys, and we will run through this. So first and foremost, let me get these super chats out the way. The common sense expert, thank you so much, sir. $5 super chat. He says the affidavit should have been charged from day one. I mean, the affiant should have been charged from day one. Lies and a lack of surveillance caused the situation. That's absolutely true. Body cameras were supposed to be on per policy, and they were not on. Or maybe they were on, and then they turned it off, and then they buried the evidence. That's also very possible. And again, I wouldn't be surprised. Unfortunately, that police department has a history of doing things off books, against policy. There have been reports of them stealing money from drug dealers, the narcotics unit, making deals with the drug dealers in exchange for not giving them certain times. You guys, this is criminal. This is also, it's not uncommon. You've heard these things from California, Los Angeles police officers, from these large police departments. You heard these things from New York Police Department, where they've hustled drug dealers out of their money. So this is not uncommon. You have police officers that may have started off good and end up evil, end up crooked, corrupt, criminals themselves. You guys, and they mask themselves and they operate under the radar. Why? Who's going to believe a criminal? Right? But when there's smoke, there's fire. Where there is smoke, there is fire. Right? So I'm going to tell you who should have been charged and who should have been sent to jail on a state level and on a federal level. So shout out to the Department of Justice for actually doing their job. Shout out to Raw B. Privilege. He says, educate the people. Oh, we about to go to school today, you guys. We're going to go to school. We're going to go to school. Thank you so much, my dear, for the $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And let me get my phone, you guys. Stand by 1 second, just in case I need to catch a message. Give me 1 second. 1 second. All right. Okay. Let's dive into this. All right. Listen, you guys, some feelings gonna get hurt tonight. I don't care. It is what it is. We're gonna keep it real. When the feds get involved, things get nasty. So what happened? We all know the story. But let me break this thing down a little further. We have four police officers that are being charged behind this by the feds. The feds are charging 4 police officers. You guys saw it in the thumbnail. Let me bring it up. For you to see. Let me see here. Here we go. 4 police officers have been charged. Here are the 4 officers. And let me explain to you what is actually happening and what's going on. 3 of these officers falsified information on the actual warrant, the warrant that they wrote and gave to a judge so that they get access into Breonna Taylor's home. In every sense of the word, the warrant was illegal. They lied. Not only did they lie, you guys, they also, once they were found out about, they then started to lie and conspire to cover the evidence up or cover up the information so they would not get in trouble. That's the second charge. The first one is the violation of Breonna Taylor's 4th Amendment rights, you guys. Her 4th Amendment right. The second one is the conspiracy, and then the actual obstruction of justice. They are obstructing from the investigation into their own corruptive acts, you guys. These are their charges. These are serious charges. Absolutely serious. And let me explain to you how the violation of a person's 4th Amendment rights works. Two ways. One, they falsified that warrant to get into her home, which is illegal. That's your 4th Amendment right. You have the right to the protection of your persons, your property, and your place, right? These things are protected from government intrusion. But also she died. She died because they violated her 4th Amendment right. When an officer illegally seizes a person's life or seizes a person without probable cause, you guys, that is, again, a violation of that person's 4th Amendment right. They seized her life. They took her life, right? And it's unconstitutional to do so. They had no justification to do so. This is such a bad situation for them, rightfully so. I don't understand why it took so long for them to get to this point. I don't know. But when I read the charges out to you guys, and then also the time, it's going to blow your mind. What else do we need to look at? They conspired to relay false information to the investigators. They got together in somebody's garage and said, okay, how are we going to do this? You guys, someone is already singing. Someone cracked under pressure. The feds always get you to crack. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good you think you are. Listen, they have enough to get you. At this point, they're going to be bargaining time. Okay, well, listen, I'll take 20 and 30. Someone's going to get life, you guys. Listen, and at the end of the day, they're all innocent until proven guilty, but we know how the feds work. The feds got you. Listen, they have arrested them already. When the feds have you, they have you. And their case is airtight. What else? Falsified the search warrant, as we talked about. What does that search warrant look like, you guys? Let me show you what the search warrant looks like. For those who don't know what happened, let me bring this up to show you. I've already highlighted it, you guys. Again, I have extensively worked on investigating and digging up information on this case. Before, someone said, Tosh said the female officer cracked. She telling it all. Yeah, because she couldn't hold out. Because she probably had the least involvement. That's probably why she's telling. That's probably why she's telling. Before we go into this, let me explain to you what happened and why it happened and what they did on the affidavit, the search warrant. The investigative team, the narcotics unit, was trying to get information on Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover, right? He is the head ringleader of this narcotics investigation. You guys, oftentimes with drug dealers, big-time drug dealers, they use their girlfriends or their baby mamas, and they stash their money there. They stash weapons there and things like that. They never really try to keep their drugs and money together at the same place, just in case their place gets raided. As a narcotics investigator, people who know the job, done the job, they know this, right? They know this. They have been watching Breonna Taylor because she has been connected to Jamarcus Glover, which is absolutely true. She's been involved, right? She's protected him. She's taken vehicles out in her name, rented cars for him. You know, he's been attached to murders. He's been attached to drug offenses, violent acts. She has been a part of his operation. This is a fact. This is absolutely true. You guys, but then they separated. They separated. The problem with this narcotics investigation is that it was poorly done. Old information. They were acting on old information. We call it stale. The evidence in the trail is stale, and they tried to use that. They did use that to try to justify their search warrant. What happened with this whole search warrant, you guys? Let me explain to you how this thing fell apart. I've gotten several search warrants. Dre's in here. He's gotten several. He's got more search warrants than I've had. But this is what happened. They know where Jamarcus Glover lived at. They know where he lives at. They know his operation. Everybody in the investigation was under the impression that they were only going to hit one house where Jamarcus Glover was at, because they had arrest warrants for him only, and his posse. Well, you had the narcotics unit who said, we also want to hit Breonna Taylor's apartment because we know, right? We know that there's evidence there. What kind of evidence are you looking for when the evidence is located where Jamarcus Glover is? You guys, in my humble opinion, they were looking for money at her apartment. In my humble opinion. And according to the investigation that probably hasn't been released, there was approximately $15,000 to $20,000 in cash that was missing out of Breonna Taylor's apartment. Allegedly. Allegedly. You guys, this whole thing looks like a scene from Training Day. You know, Denzel Washington, Training Day, when they went and robbed the drug dealer. You guys, this happens. This absolutely happens. And I did a video on this exact thing about Breonna Taylor, you guys. I called it already. It's so obvious. Well, what happened? They need to find a way to connect Breonna Taylor to Jamarcus Glover, her ex-boyfriend. They used old information to try to, but they didn't have enough information. The judge would never give them a search warrant on Breonna Taylor's apartment because they cannot connect the relationship of evidence, you guys. It's called the nexus. The nexus. How does it flow? Everything has to connect. The evidence has to connect to the suspect. There has to be a chain of events that you can follow that would show you without any doubt that there's a high probability based on the evidence, the probable cause, right? That the drugs, the money is at Breonna Taylor's house. They didn't have enough information. So what they do, you guys, they made some stuff up. Jamarcus Glover does not live at Breonna Taylor's house. He lives at his house. They have a search warrant and an arrest warrant for his house. But then this group of officers want to go to Breonna Taylor's house. Why? Because they know that she has stashed money for him before. Well, what's the problem? The problem is the day when they conducted their operation briefing, right? When these briefings happen, you guys, everybody gets together in a room, secret squirrel style, and we all talk about what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. You have the SWAT team, who is the only ones, even at my department, that were allowed to do high-risk warrants on violent offenders. Why? They have the equipment. They are trained. They know what they're doing. Regular officers are not allowed to serve high-risk warrants because of this type of incident takes place. They didn't know what they were doing. They're not trained to do what they were doing. They weren't supposed to be there. Okay, well, what happened? During the briefing, the SWAT commander, the guy you're supposed to tell everything to about what's supposed to happen, was at the meeting. Guess what he said? He said no one was supposed to be at Breonna Taylor's house. That's not what we talked about. I didn't even know that officers were over there. You guys, that's all I needed to know. They were on some secret squirrel shit. And it backfired. And there were a lot of officers there. It wasn't just these three. You guys, I know what corruption looks like. The SWAT commander, everybody at the briefing that night leaves and they go to Jamarcus Glover's house. They go in there, do their thing. They arrest everybody. And guess what? Someone's on the radio saying shots fired and officers down. They said, what the hell is going on? Hey, they said some police officers over here at this address just got shot. The SWAT team leaves over there, and then they go over there to Breonna Taylor's house and find out that the narcotics unit is at Breonna Taylor's house. They're like, what are you guys doing over here? You guys are supposed to be where we at. Why are you over here? You guys, that's not how we operate. That's not what we do. He got the search warrant for Breonna Taylor's house the same day they were supposed to hit Jamarcus Glover's house and did not tell the SWAT commander who's in charge of doing the raids. They are not trained or qualified to do what they did. They did it under the skies, right? Again, secret squirrel or corrupt squirrel, whatever you want to call it. Shout out to you for the donut fund. T. Holland with the $10 super chat. Thank you, brother. Thank you. How'd they get the warrant? How'd they connect a drug dealer's house to Breonna Taylor's house? They weren't able to. They lied. What did they say? They put in the affidavit that Jamarcus Glover was getting suspicious packages at Breonna Taylor's house, and that he would show up, get the package, right, in his name, but it had Breonna Taylor's address on it, and then take it back to his place. You guys, as officers, when we're creating search warrants, you just can't say that. You got to prove it. I can't just say, hey, Glover, he's getting packages at this house, even though he doesn't live there. They're dropping it off at this location, his girlfriend's house, and then he's picking it up over there. That's suspicious behavior. We know, based on our training and experience, that drug dealers will do that because they want to deliver their drugs or illegal stuff at someone else's house so it doesn't burn their house, right? That's how you speak that language. Now, the judge is going to say, okay, show me proof. What proof do you have? Well, Your Honor, on this day and on this time, he's seen going to her house, picking up a package. Okay, did you verify the name and address on that package? Yeah, of course, Your Honor, we verified it. Okay, how'd you verify it and how did you do it? Please explain to me how you did it. You know what they said? They said that they got it validated, right, and verified through the postal inspector. You guys, that's federal. Said the postal inspector was able to verify that Jamarcus Glover, his name and information is attached to the package, but it's going to her house. That's what they said. That's what they said. He says in yellow, line 8, on January 16, during the afternoon hours, affiant witnessed Jamarcus Glover operating the listed red 2017 Dodge Charger. Glover pulled up, parked in front of 3003 Springfield Drive. This is Breonna Taylor address. Affiant then observed, right? Affiant is the person who wrote the application. This is the one that's being charged federally for falsifying information. Glover walked directly into the apartment number 4. After a short period of time, Glover was seen exiting the apartment with a suspicious, with the suspected USPS package in his right hand. Mr. Glover then got in his vehicle, drove straight to 2605 West Muhammad Ali Boulevard. That is Jamarcus's drug location where he does his business. That is what they are saying. That's how they tied him to her place, saying that if we get this search warrant, Your Honor, we know that when we search it, we're going to find drugs, guns, money, whatever is needed or whatever evidence is needed to connect this case. Affiant and number 9 in green, you guys, what does it say? Affiant verified through a U.S. postal inspector that Jamarcus Glover has been receiving packages at Breonna Taylor's house. Affiant knows through training and experience that it is not uncommon for drug traffickers to receive mail packages at different locations to avoid detection from law enforcement. You guys, that is what got him and these other officers in trouble. This was a lie. It was a lie. It was a lie. And then they tried to cover it up. Why'd they lie? Who told them to do it, you guys? The plot thickens. You get so comfortable in lying on search warrants, bending the rules, breaking the law. You've gotten so comfortable. You guys, this is not okay. This is against the law. You can't do that. You can't cut corners in this job. This right here is a problem. How many more of these have they done? How many more? That's what he put on the warrant. That is what got him and the other two officers in trouble. That lie. What happened? Now the investigation's on, right? Because all this stuff blew out the fan. Everything is crazy. What happened? They start investigating. They're looking into it. They contact the postal inspector, and guess what he said? No one's ever asked me to verify anything. I've never even talked to them about it. I don't know. Nope, I never said that. So then you go back to the officer, the detective, and say, why did you lie? Then they tried to lie and cover up the lie. And that's how they all got charged. That is why these officers got charged. He right here wrote the warrant. She and he helped them cover it up. There's more to this. They didn't do this on their own, you guys. There's somebody bigger than them pulling the strings. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about this, because here's what they're being charged with again. And then ex-detective Brett Hankison. I'm going to read to you what the Attorney General said. The Attorney General, you guys, for those who don't know what the U.S. Attorney General looks like, let me throw him up here real quick. His name is Merrick Garland. This is the guy who's making this thing all possible right now. Merrick Garland, you guys. What did he say? He said, listen, we investigated this thing, and I found these officers to have violated Breonna Taylor's Fourth Amendment rights. They lied. They obstructed justice. They tried to cover things up. They lied on the affidavit. They lied during the investigation. Their actions, their gross negligence and pure retardedness caused the death of an innocent person. Her life was seized in that process. And because of that, they violated her Fourth Amendment rights, you guys. They lied on the affidavit to get access into her home. You cannot do that. They're going to be charged. They're going to be found guilty, you guys. They've already been arrested. Then, in the actions of the officers at the scene, their reckless conduct, their excessive use of force caused the death of Breonna Taylor. That's a fact. They broke and violated several department policies. I don't know. I know, but I don't understand how they were. No, I do understand how they were able to get off. I know who did it. But that's the corruption, right? What did these officers do wrong? About 7 of them at the scene, untrained, were not supposed to be there, not qualified to do what they were doing. They got shot, horrible tactics. They can't see who's shooting at them, and they empty over 32 rounds into Breonna Taylor's apartment. Were they justified in shooting? Yes. But just because you use the force doesn't mean you can abuse the force, you guys. I say it all the time. This ain't Star Wars, right? The force is with you. Yeah, until you abuse it. They're justified in using force, and then it's excessive. You cannot use excessive force, period. Hankison. We got to talk about Hankison. I don't know how he got off without being charged. A magician. A magician. This is Hankison. A complete imbecile, you guys. A complete imbecile. Why do I say that? He's shooting through a glass door. He can't see anything. Then he starts shooting through a bedroom window. You guys, he should be charged. He should absolutely be charged. And guess what? They did charge him. They did charge him. He's an idiot, you guys. There's one in every police department. Bless his heart. I don't care about his feelings, you guys. What are the facts? You cannot shoot blindly into a house, into a residential area. You have to identify the threat. You have to identify the target. You just can't shoot into a bedroom window. He said, oh, somebody was shooting. I saw flashes of light. So I just started shooting at the light. I shot at the light. You guys, this is who we're giving guns to. Idiots. Freaking idiots, man. I'm going to play a video for you. It's going to break down the trajectory of all the bullets and things like that. What is he being charged with? The Department of Justice says willfully used unconstitutionally excessive force. Willfully. You know why they say willfully? He was so stupid with it. It made no sense. Completely illogical. Just shooting. Emptied his gun and reloaded, you guys. Sir, what are you shooting at? The light. Willfully used unconstitutionally excessive force when he fired his service weapon into Taylor's apartment through a covered window and covered glass door. He is charged with depriving Taylor and a guest in her home of their constitutional rights by firing shots through a bedroom window that was covered with blinds and a blackout curtain. A blackout curtain. That's what he's being charged with. Essentially, you guys, he's being charged with being an idiot and risking the life of people inside that apartment. He absolutely has to be charged. I don't understand how the state, well, I understand how they did it. They covered it up. They covered it up. He did his job wrong, and they covered it up. He did his job poorly, and they covered it up. They made an excuse for him, even when it was obvious. Sir, it's obvious. You were wrong. That's not how you were trained. Listen, I watched the trial, you guys. It blew my mind. And then you won't believe this. Guess what he does? You won't believe this. Listen, I tell you, I have, this case has angered me. Why? And I'm watching it, and this is the shit that I see on the stand. Sir, you're an idiot. Yep. Daniel Cameron, Mitch McConnell. Listen, you guys, puppets have strings. Daniel Cameron, you guys, bless his heart, he's running for governor. And I bet you he'll get it. Why? Because puppets have strings. This is the guy. They are charging him. Absolutely correct. He should have been in prison for what he did. Wanton endangerment is what they charge him with. Wanton endangerment. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is him. I saw this when I was watching this, and I almost lost it. I was about to take a flight to Kentucky and be like, man, let me do the closing argument on this clown. I promise you. You guys, why is this so important that the feds are charging him? Why is this important? It does send a message about this behavior that needs to end, needs to stop. Officers need to be afraid to break the law. Officers need to be in fear of losing their freedom for doing the stuff that these guys did in this case against Breonna Taylor. I don't care that she was the girlfriend of a drug dealer. I don't care. It had nothing to do with her dying and losing her life. Absolutely nothing. This, when I tell you, when this stuff came out, oh, I was hyped. I was hyped. And I want to explain to you guys why they are being charged so you understand what the situation is. His actions were in violation of her constitutional rights. That's why he's being charged. I'm going to tell you what their sentence will look like if they're convicted. A child, first-year law attorney, should have been able to convict this case, you guys. I could have put me on the stand. I'd have convicted all of them. Easy. And I'm going to tell you which ones. He's also facing charges. Hankison. Let me pull him back up. Faces charges of depriving 3 of Taylor's neighbors. Why is that, you guys? The bullets he shot were going through the ceiling in someone else's bedroom, going in other apartments. You guys, you cannot do that. If I was investigating a case with a suspect who did that, I'm charging him for every room that bullet went into, and there was a person living there. I'm charging you with aggravated assault because you risked their life because of your behavior. You guys, the majority of those officers in that case with Breonna Taylor should have been arrested on state charges. Absolutely. I'm going to tell you which ones. Him, absolutely him. Now, this thing is interesting, right? Because for those who haven't seen what it actually looked like, I'm going to show you the trajectory of the bullets. These are the bullets. These are the trajectory of the bullets from the officers at the scene. You guys, this is excessive. This is excessive, absolutely excessive and unacceptable. Right? And here's Breonna Taylor right here. Hankison, all his bullets here are coming from the south of this photo. Look, he's shooting here to the left. He's shooting here to the right. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. And these guys are shooting all over the place. Now, let me say this before I go further on this, because I have a video that I definitely want to show you guys that'll help us walk through all this. Listen, and you guys, for those who are just now joining us, please hit the like button on your way in. Please subscribe to the channel if you see value in this. You guys, we're talking about the 4 officers who've been federally charged and arrested by the Department of Justice involving the death of Breonna Taylor. You guys, for those who are definitely just now getting in here, listen, let me recap quickly. The warrant that was used to get access into an apartment was falsely written. The officers lied and tried to cover it up. They conspired to cover it up. They lied during the investigation. They are being charged federally. Hankison, the one we just now started talking about, his reckless acts endangered her, violated her Fourth Amendment right. Everybody has violated Breonna Taylor's Fourth Amendment right. That's exactly what these guys are being charged with. Absolutely. And she died because of it. And when you die when you die in the process of violating someone's Fourth Amendment rights, you guys, that is life in prison. That is life in prison if you're convicted. You cannot violate someone's Fourth Amendment right and then kill them, or they die in the process. James and Meany, these are the officers. These are the other officers, the detectives on this case. What did they say they did? Let me bring a photo up of them so you guys can see what they look like. James and Meany. These are the other two investigators in this case. What are they saying happened, you guys? They are being charged with, or what did they do? The accusation, they are accused of willfully depriving Taylor of her constitutional rights by drafting and approving a false affidavit, obtained a search warrant while knowing the affidavit contained false and misleading statements, omitted material facts, relied on stale information. Stale information meaning evidence that's no longer strong enough in order to actually get a search warrant from a judge. The judge look at it and say, no, that's old. You know, I need something recent. I need something current. I need something active. And the evidence was not supported, or the affidavit or the evidence was not supported by any probable cause. You guys, let me explain to you the probable cause thing. They did not have any probable cause, meaning they didn't have strong evidence to justify a reason to actually search Breonna Taylor's house. So in order to strengthen their or to give them probable cause, they lied and said that the postal inspector actually validated and verified that Jamarcus Glover, her ex-boyfriend, was receiving packages at Breonna Taylor's apartment. They needed that nexus. The nexus is what connects the evidence, to the circumstance, the situation, to a person. Everything has to flow, or the judge is not going to give it to you. It has to connect. All the dots have to connect, and you have to be able to prove it. And they lied. They lied. And then they lied for the lie to cover up the lie. They lied again. Then they conspired to lie more. You guys, this is what happened. This is why they are all being federally charged. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. Here's another one. James, this guy right here. James and another detective, this guy right here, tried to cover up their actions by drafting a bogus investigative letter and making false statements to investigators. According to the statement, James falsified a report in hopes of impeding a criminal probe into Taylor's death. Meany also made false statements. You guys, what did they do? They tried to throw the investigators off the trail. This is how deep this got. This is why this took so long. But corruption only requires one to two or more officers. That's it. Look how dangerous a group of 3 officers can be when they want to circumvent around the law, when they want to lie, cover things up, become crooked, corrupt, right? It doesn't take much, you guys. That's why when they're exposed, they need to be dealt accordingly. This is crazy. But I'm going to tell you what the charges are. This is what happened. Goblet and Jane, right? Here. They met in a garage weeks after the botched raid and conspired to relay false information to investigators. This is from the Attorney General, right? Then this thing becomes premeditated. We got together, we started having a whole secret squirrel meeting about what happened and how we're going to get ourselves out of it, right? They started typing up false documents in order to throw off the investigators. Falsely claimed the target of their drug trafficking investigation received packages Taylor's address. It was not true. This is going to be interesting. Here's what they're being charged with. Willfully violating someone's rights carries a statutory maximum sentence of life. Life. Especially only when it leads in someone's death. Breonna Taylor died. Willfully violating someone's rights and they die in the process, you guys, the maximum sentence for that, life. What's the other charge? A conviction on an obstruction count commands a maximum penalty of 20 years. They can get up to 20 years for obstructing the investigation. Hey, it sends a powerful message. Now you need to go back and look through all of the cases that they did. Listen to all the complaints that were made from drug dealers who went on record and said, hey, you know, they took $60,000 from you. Okay, yeah, they took this, they took that. Yeah, they took my money and then sent me on my way. You guys, some of these detectives have been robbing drug dealers. No one believes them. Why? Because they're drug dealers. But when there's smoke, you guys, there's fire. The conspiracy and false statement charge each carry a maximum sentence of 5 years. So that alone, 5 years for lying and making a false statement to a federal agent, a government agency, 5 years off the bat just for making up some stories, conspiring. 20 years for obstructing the investigation. Hey, it is what it is. What else? Willfully violating someone's constitutional rights, you guys. You violate someone's Fourth Amendment right and they die in the process. That's life. I say send them on off. Get them up out of here, you guys. Get them up out of here. And then go through all of their work. There needs to be a dedicated federal unit that goes behind their work. I don't care if they made 200 cases. Every case needs to be examined. Every last one. Any complaint that was filed against them needs to be reinvestigated. And if they said the drug dealer said you took 10 grand, the city needs to compensate the drug dealer. Hey, be mindful of how you discipline your officers. Be mindful of not taking these complaints seriously. You need to pay them back. Someone said, what? This drug dealer said they stole 50 grand. Then I guess you need to give him his 50 grand. Hold on. Plus that interest, right? You got to factor in inflation. You guys, we absolutely cannot have this. Absolutely cannot. Absolutely cannot. Now, are they going to get the drug dealer back their money? You got to prove that you got it legit, right? But still, nonetheless, the reality is this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. This is something that officers have gotten comfortable doing. I'll tell you that right now. I've had warrants rejected by a judge. I've had search warrants kicked back from a judge. I'm not seeing the nexus, right? I'm not seeing it connect. Did you watch him get into that car that you're trying to get a search warrant on? No. But it's his car. Well, how do you know, officer? He had the keys to it. Was he driving it? Do you know? Is the evidence? How you know it's his? Listen, these are the questions that you have to be able to explain. You got to be able to prove. You got to be able to show the probable cause. You guys, you got to connect the dots. And when you can't connect the dots, you don't lie about it. It's just that simple. I never lied to get a search warrant. If I can't connect the dots, you guys, I didn't do a good enough job. It is what it is. You can't catch everybody. You guys, they have gotten accustomed to lying on documents to do their job. Someone says, well, they had good intentions. They're trying to get bad people off the street. You guys, anytime as an officer you go down that path, you can't come out. It's not worth it. It only takes one time, and you've damaged your credibility. You've destroyed your integrity. You can't go back. You can't go back. You guys, I've been around hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've been around cocaine. Oh, let me not say the word. I've been around that dust, right? YouTube funny like that. I've been around Skittles, a whole lot of them. You can taste the rainbow. Been around so much Skittles. It's big out here in Atlanta, right? I've been around that Lindsay Lohan, right? Been around that snow. What else they call it out here, right? That booger sugar, right? What they call it? Means you laughing. Right? You guys, I've seen it all. Hair on, right? Whole bunch of cookies, right? That green destiny, right? I've seen it all. Been around that iced tea. Shout out to you. That crystal, right? Yes, sir. That X. Yes, sir. You guys, I've never. Someone say, what is Skittles? X. That X. Right? Been around that brown. What you know about it? Right? Free base, what you know about it? You guys, I've seen money in walls. Come on now. Hundreds and thousands of dollars. That boy, what you know about it? Come on, you two don't know it. Speak the language, right? You two got me on another video talking about, I said one drug name and they demonetized the video. You guys, this is serious. If you don't have integrity, if you have to bend the rules to catch a criminal, you guys, that's it. You're out the job. You're out the job. My department held us accountable. I've seen officers from my department walk into a federal building in a suit and walk out in handcuffs, you guys. It's not a joke. Absolutely not a joke. Listen, peace out to them. Good luck. When the feds got you guys, cuckoo cuckoo, you're out of here. You're out of here. The feds don't play. And this was so reckless, you guys. And contrary to a lot of people's belief, unfortunately, the state did a horrible job covering this up, but they covered it up nonetheless, and they got away with it. Why? Because puppets have strings. There's always someone above someone else. But for the sake of maintaining the stream, you guys, innocent until proven guilty. But we know they did that shit. So peace out, y'all. You know, peace out. I don't feel sorry for them. I said it before. This looked like an episode off of Training Day. Episode off of Training Day. And to me personally, it's obvious. It's obvious. This is the problem right here. This is the problem. You know, they say power corrupts, you guys. Absolutely, it does. Everybody's not meant to hold power. Everybody is not meant or designed or worthy enough to hold power. Some people are not deserving of it. There's so many people in this country. Everybody wants to be powerful because you're not made to be powerful. A lot of us are cowards. And the moment we get the opportunity to wield some strength, wield some power, we abuse it. Power that's not earned, but it's given to you. And the only way you can maintain said power is to do as you're told. You guys, that is the puppet project. Hey, I'll give you some power, right? But then I got to tie a string on your back. And you're going to do as you're told. Why? Because other than that, you wouldn't be able to have the power that you have. He's running for governor. And I bet you he'll get it. Why, you say? Because puppets have strings. Puppets have strings. Is it worth it, though? Is it worth it? Everybody wants to be respected, even though they're not a respectable person. Everyone wants to be powerful, even though they don't deserve the power that they have or the power that was given to them. You guys, that is the problem. Welcome to America. It's all over the place in our government. Disappointed. Very disappointed. And all you had to do was just hold the officers accountable for their mistake that they made, that they did, right? No shame in it. No shame in it. You guys, what was the violation? You guys, they violated all kinds of policy. And we don't even, you got to address it. You have to address it. You cannot do a raid on someone's house and you're untrained and you're unqualified to do it. Completely botched. They lied. They weren't supposed to be there. Money's missing, allegedly. You start shooting in the dark. In an apartment, you can't see anything. You're trained to shoot with your flashlight. You empty 32 rounds into a house. Reckless. A woman died because of it. An officer was shot behind it. He was shot standing in the doorway. That's a no-no, you guys. That's not how we're trained. That's not how we're trained. What happens? He falls. He shoots about 6 times. The guy over him, Cosgrove, what did he do? He shot 16 times. He emptied his gun into the house. He can't see who he's shooting, you guys. You can't do that. It's against policy. Did you identify the threat? No. Did you shoot in the dark? Yes. Did you see who you were shooting? No. Did you see a weapon? No. Sir, who are you shooting at? I don't remember. Sir, you're wearing a body cam. Was it on? No. Why? Sir, does the policy say you're supposed to have your body camera active? You had the body camera and it wasn't on. Sir, you're going to prison because it was your bullet out of the 16 shots that you fired that killed Breonna Taylor. Your bullet. Then some of your bullets hit the ceiling, went into someone else's apartment. It went in the apartment next door. You shot pots, pans, sofas, toilet seat, windows, bathroom, bedroom. You hit everything. By the grace of God, there were no children in there. You guys, what if a child got shot inside that apartment or the apartment above or the apartment next door, you guys? This is madness. How did they get away with it? You guys, this gentleman right here pulled it off. A word wizard. Crafting spells, and he's poor at it. Lied to the people. He needs to be investigated too. The feds need to look into what he did. how he did it, how he manipulated the evidence against the officers, against the jury who was listening, you guys. He failed the state. He failed the city. He failed Breonna Taylor. He failed the criminal justice system. Why? You guys, this is unacceptable. He needs to be held accountable. Not once did he address the violations that the officers did that ultimately led to the death of Breonna Taylor. You can't excuse that. You absolutely cannot excuse that. Then you tried to arrest her boyfriend when he was defending himself. He needs to be investigated. But if they touch him, they got to touch the puppet, you guys. And that puppet's been around. Right? Can he be touched? Absolutely not. You're looking at a made man, you guys. A made man. He'll never be touched. Because to touch him, you have to touch the puppet. And it stops with him. Operation Patsy, you guys. You're looking at your next governor of Kentucky. Mark my words. He did what he was supposed to do. He did what he was told. A word wizard casting spells of foolishness into the media, into the minds of people. Well, probably get in trouble for this one. Cuckoo, right? Who would have knew? Facts over feelings. Facts over feelings. Shout out to you, Raw B. Thank you so much. She said, to the law school fund. Facts. Thank you so much for that. For this $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shay, for the $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Listen, you guys. Any questions? Any questions? If you have a question, please put your please put a Q in front of your question. If I've already missed it because I was going through that thing that I just went through, put a Q in front of your statement so I can catch it in the chat. I want to make sure I pull up and not miss anything. If I missed it already, please run it back. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to. Yeah, that's a good one right there. We got to catch me on another stream for that response. Does anybody have any questions about this case, about why they're being charged with the violation of her Fourth Amendment rights and then the other violations as well? If you need me to explain anything in reference to that, please let me know. While you guys are doing that, I want to show a quick video real quick. And I think this will also help get a better understanding for those who are not familiar with how this whole thing was set up. What should the officers have been charged with? That somehow, I see the questions coming in. Hold on. I'm starring the questions, you guys, so I can get to them. So you can go ahead and throw them up. I'll star them and I'll pull them up. Goddess says, I'm just getting in. All right, you might have to run it back. Tell me what you're asking for specifically, because I may have already covered it. But real quick, what should they have been charged with, you guys? I've already did the research already. This is what the officer should have been charged with. This is Kentucky State Charge 507.050. And this is reckless homicide. Reckless homicide. What does reckless homicide say? A person is guilty of reckless homicide when, with recklessness, he causes the death of another person. Reckless homicide is a Class D felony, you guys. Listen, they were something that they were supposed to be charged. Who? Cosgrove. Cosgrove should have been charged for reckless homicide. Whether he would have been found guilty or not, okay. But was there a charge? Yes. Why? Why do I say that? Why do I say reckless homicide, you guys? A person is guilty of reckless homicide when, with recklessness, he caused the death of another person. Was his actions? Were their actions not reckless, you guys? Yes, they absolutely were reckless. Out of all the charges, they missed this one and hit them with wanton endangerment. Listen, the problem was your boy Daniel. What did he do? What did he do? He just didn't provide any information. Oh. The guy on the right is Cosgrove. He's the one with the body camera. The one on the left is the one who falsified the affidavit. The one on the right here is Cosgrove. He's the one who shot 16 shots in the doorway, and the bullet ultimately ended up killing Breonna Taylor. He should have never been there. They should have never been there trying to execute a search warrant on a suspected drug dealer's connected residence, right? I see you guys as questions. I'm highlighting them. I'm gonna go over your questions in 1 second. Make sure I don't miss any. Any questions? Any questions? You guys can bring them in. I'm just scrolling through, make sure I didn't miss any. When officers turn off their body cameras, you guys, see the laws with Breonna Taylor's no knock warrant law, blah, blah, blah. That's some BS. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to save anybody's life. The cameras, the policy says cameras must be on. If they find out the cameras were not on, not recording the altercation or the incident, you guys, that should be considered tampering with evidence, you guys. That should be a crime. Not only should that be a fireable offense, it should be an arrestable one, especially if someone died in the commission of the encounter that you were in. Oh, I thought the camera was on. He was the only one wearing a body camera. Out of 7 officers, 8 officers at the scene, and his body camera wasn't on? Why? Why? No. You touch that camera, it doesn't capture the death of a citizen. Oh, that's a felony. Tampering with evidence. You know the policy and you violated it. Make it make sense. New Heart, New Spirit. Thank you so much for this $20 super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. All love, all support. Thank you so much. You guys, if you're coming in just getting, please hit the like button. Please share this video. I'm gonna go over a quick video with you if you're not familiar. He did not get charged. He did not get charged. It was for the officers who lied on the warrant. He did not get charged. I don't know if he will get charged. The state should have charged him with reckless homicide. His behavior was reckless. It was excessive. He should have been charged with reckless homicide, in my opinion. I could have sold that. Why? Because I'm talking about, is this how he's trained? Is this how they're supposed to be trained? Did he follow protocol? Did he follow policy? Was the body camera on? He was doing, man, I would have. Now, whether or not he would have been found guilty, not guilty is one thing, right? So not saying that. New heart, new spirit. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this amazing, amazing super chat. I feel like I'm gonna go through this video real quick. I feel like I missed something too. I did miss someone's super chat. Hold on, you guys. Hold on. I hate when I miss super chat. I gotta go back. Did I miss it? Sometimes I get to running my mouth and then hold on. There we go. There you go. Brandon Matthews. Shout out to you for the $20 super chat. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for the love and support. He says, shout out to you for connecting the line between ignorance and reality. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, we're going to connect the dots today, you guys. We're going to connect them today. Shout out to you, Brandon. Thank you so much for this. You guys, before I dive into the Q&A session, I want to play this real quick. I don't know. Fair use. Where's my fair use team? Fair use. And make sure I don't miss any questions. Give me 1 second. Well, I'm playing this. I'll pause it and we'll go over it and I'll explain it. Thank you so much, Brandon. And thank you again, New Heart, New Spirit, you guys, for the support. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for seeing value in this content, you guys. It means a lot to me. Fair use. Let's get it.
When 7 officers begin the raid at 12:40 a.m., they notice the lights are off, except for the flicker of a TV in a bedroom.
The light on the bedroom, the TV. I remember seeing it lit up blue when we pulled up.
Suggesting they know where Taylor is. In less than 3 minutes, she would be fatally shot. Inside, Taylor had dozed off while watching a movie with her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker. Adjacent is the bedroom of Taylor's sister, but she's not home. A hallway from the bedrooms leads to a living area, and the apartment's entrance is in this breezeway. The only light is this lamp opposite her door, where now the police begin to stack. In this reconstruction, we hear the official testimonies given by the 2 officers nearest the door, Mattingly and Nobles, Cosgrove, who's providing cover, and Hoover and Hankison beside them.
All right. Fair use. We're doing this for educational purposes. You guys, I want you to know there's about 7 officers at the scene. There is a sergeant, and then there's a supervisor, lieutenant. You guys, they don't ever talk about him, Lieutenant Hoover. I did some research on him. Hold on, where's this other window at? I guess I never pulled it up. So this is interesting. Here, all the officers here stacked at the front. Right here in the beginning, you already have a problem. And I'm going to show you where this whole thing starts going south, right?
We hear the official testimonies given by the 2 officers nearest the door, Mattingly and Nobles, Cosgrove, providing cover, and Hoover and Hankison beside them. And we'll hear from neighbours and Kenneth Walker, who was interviewed by police right after the shooting.
When we all got up in line, I knocked on the door, banged on it.
Just as Mattingly begins to knock, a man emerges from the apartment directly above. He doesn't live there, but is picking up his child after finishing work.
The door right there, that's why the babysitter on leave. So I came to pick up my little girl.
A squabble with Detective Brett Hankison ensues, and already the team seems on edge.
I remember Brett extending his gun saying, get back in your apartment. Brett was a little bit worked up. I remember looking at Brett saying, Brett, relax. Brett, just relax.
The man retreats inside. The police are supposed to be conducting a knock and announce raid, but that's not what Mattingly says happens at first.
We didn't announce the first couple because our intent was to give her plenty of time to come to the door.
Inside, Taylor wakes up.
So it's a loud bang at the door. She pops up out of sleep. It scared her to death. Me too. Like, who is that?
Banged on the door, no response. Banged on it again, no response. At that point, we started announcing ourselves.
Whether the police announce themselves clearly enough is a critical issue in this story that we'll return to later on. Not knowing who's at the door this late, Walker grabs his licensed handgun.
Another knock at the door. She's like, who is it? Loud at the top of her lungs. No response. So I'm like, what the heck?
They rush to get dressed and walk toward the door.
We never even made it like mid-hallway. But as loud as we were screaming to say who it is, I know whoever would be on the other side of the door could hear us.
Outside, some of the police do hear Taylor.
I can hear somebody inside. I kept telling John, I can hear her.
But after knocking and waiting for around 45 seconds, they decided they've given her enough time to respond and rammed the door open.
The last time, I just said, let's just hit it. And that's when we did the, police search warrant.
We'll show here what the police and Walker describe seeing next.
All right, let me pause it here because here's the problem. For those who can see, the issue is you see the officer right here with the shield. You guys, he's supposed to be at the door. Why? That shield is supposed to protect you from being shot at. So you have these two officers who are right in front of the door, you guys. That is not how it's supposed to work. They're untrained. Again, they're not qualified. You guys, I have tactical training experience, so I know what this is supposed to look like. They are what they call this thing, the fatal funnel. You're in front of the door, right? The reason why you don't stand in front of the door is because if someone starts shooting through the door, you get shot. You're supposed to stand off to the side, bang on the door, right? The person with the shield goes in first. You guys, that's not what happened. Why? They're not trained to be there. They're not supposed to be there in the first place. They're not supposed to be there. So, no, they absolutely cannot cover this up. And this is where this is going. And I hope and pray that they continue to follow the breadcrumbs because there's a lot more people that need to be investigated behind this. Absolutely a lot more. So look at all these officers. They try to downplay it and say, oh, we're just looking for some documents, some paperwork, blah, blah, blah. Sir, after 12 in the morning? That couldn't wait till the next day. The SWAT commander who's running the operation didn't even know you were there. But guess what? There's a lieutenant there as well. You guys, they have a history of robbing drug dealers at that police department, the narcotics unit. Right? I mean, let me just play it.
When we did the, police search warrant.
We'll show here what the police and Walker describe seeing next.
And I hit it. After the third hit, it flew open. And that's when it hit the fan.
As we're coming to the door like comes off the hinges like an explosion.
Look at these. Look at these. In the middle of the doorway. Where's their protection? Right? On the right side, this is what Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend, or what he's saying they saw, right? He sees a silhouette, right? He doesn't know that they're the police. He said he heard the banging, but he never heard them say they're the police. The residents around them said they did not hear that either. And how were they able to verify this, you guys? For those who don't know, the residents were calling the police saying they've heard gunshot. They never once said, hey, can you bring the police? Send the police. Someone's shooting over here. This is what the neighbors are doing, you guys. They called 911. Nobody heard them announce police. Guess what? If they had their body cameras on, it would have helped their testimony. But maybe they did have it on. But maybe they never said police. Maybe that's why the body camera footage is not here, right? They were looking for the money. Someone said they found it. Someone said they found it. Fair use. Fair use, educational purposes.
As we're coming to the door like comes off the hinges like an explosion.
The officers now make a tactical mistake. Mattingly steps into the doorway and puts himself in what police describe as the fatal funnel, a position vulnerable to gunfire and hard to move from.
I could see down the hallway, and there's the male and a female, side by side, shoulder to shoulder, almost like they were together.
The apartment is lit only by the breezeway light that's coming from behind Mattingly and the faint glare of the TV in Taylor's bedroom.
You can't see anybody, though. It was dark. There was no lights.
Thinking it's an intruder, Walker aims low, shoots once, and hits Mattingly in the thigh.
I feel like I aimed down because I wasn't, of course, I don't need to kill anybody. So I just let off one shot.
Mattingly immediately returns fire.
I got 4 rounds off, and it was like boom, 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 boom.
Then all of a sudden there's a whole lot of shots.
Mattingly fires 2 more rounds when he falls and takes cover. Almost at the same time, Cosgrove moves in and fires, stepping on Mattingly in the process. He has now also put himself in the fatal funnel, and although he's shooting, he appears to have no idea what's happening.
I see blinding, vivid white light and blackness at the same time. I don't hear any gunfire at all, ever. And I did not have any pain sensation or any recollection that I'm firing.
So here's the thing. There's a money team, yeah, in every city, unfortunately. You're right about that. Here's the thing. What is he saying? He's describing what officers would call tunnel vision, right? That is a real thing. I'm familiar with it. When I was involved in my first shooting, I felt it. It is a real thing, you guys. So not here to give any excuses. He's saying he's seeing a flash of white light. He's shooting because he doesn't know why. He panics. He panics. This is the result of poor training. Poor training. Untrained. He was not supposed, they were not supposed to be there. They're not qualified to do what they were doing. They weren't. They're doing the SWAT team's job and they're not the SWAT team. A bunch of imbeciles gathered together and thought they're going to play SWAT team today. You guys, and this is what happened. Someone died. Recklessness. There's a supervisor at the scene. There's 2 of them. They need to be held accountable as well. Whose idea was this? Who thought this was a good idea? They need to be held accountable. The guy with the shield is right here. He has the shield, you guys. Look at him. He's supposed to be in the door. If he was in the door, right? Where is their flashlights? You guys, that's the first mistake. It's the first mistake. What are you shooting at, sir? Who are you shooting? I watched the video of the training officer for the police department describe how they're trained. You guys, and this is not it. This is not it.
That I'm firing.
He continues shooting blindly until he runs out of ammunition, a total of 16 rounds.
If you told me I didn't fire a gun, I'd be like, okay, I believe you.
In response to Walker's shot, Mattingly and Cosgrove together fire 4 shots into a chair, cupboards, and a stove in the kitchen. 2 bullets go into the ceiling and pass through the living room in the apartment above, where the man, his 2-year-old daughter, and babysitter waited. 3 more shots go into the living room wall to the right, and the officers fire 13 rounds down the hallway where Taylor and Walker stood. Taylor is shot 6 times on both sides of her body, in the abdomen and chest, her arm and leg, and twice in her foot. In all, these two officers fired 22 rounds in less than a minute. An FBI ballistics report found that both of them shot Taylor, and that one of the 16 rounds Cosgrove fired was the lethal bullet.
We both dropped to the ground, but I just hear her screaming, and
Thinking they're under attack, some of the officers flee when they hear a pause in shooting.
There was a little bitty moment of no shots. I was like, here's the time to go. And then it all started up again.
We don't know the precise sequence of events, but Detective Hankison runs to the front.
I can hear the firing as I'm going.
This freaking
as
idiot.
I'm making the corner. I can see the flashes, the muzzle flashes.
But the only ones shooting are police. Even though all the curtains are drawn, Hankison blindly fires 5 bullets through the patio windows.
My only option was to return fire, and I did that to the muzzle flashes.
He moves and fires 5 more rounds through the bedroom window of Taylor's sister, who isn't home. 2 bullets fly over Walker and Taylor, but none hits them. The bullets that go into the living area pass over Taylor's sofa and kitchen table and smash her clock. 3 penetrate the wall and enter her neighbour's apartment. Those bullets also smash the kitchen table, hit a wall, and shatter the patio doors at the rear. Partner were home. Hankison has been charged with wantonly endangering their lives. In total,
And he got off scot-free.
the police fire 32 bullets, penetrating almost every room in Taylor's apartment. They hit saucepans, cereal boxes, and smash into her shower. They puncture shoes, shatter cleaning equipment, and land in her sister's clothing. And 3 minutes after police came to search her home, a fatally wounded Taylor is lying on the ground.
I'm just panicking and I'm telling somebody, I'm yelling help.
Fair use. Let's see if that works this time with you two. Why did I show that, right? I wanted you guys to understand what gross negligence and reckless police behavior looks like, and how if you have the right protection as an officer, you can get off scot-free. And this is why this federal charge and these 4 officers getting arrested is absolutely necessary. It's a step in the right direction, even though we are in the wrong direction, right? Starting off, it's sad. It's very discouraging, but this case matters. It matters a lot. This case, I did a lot of research on, you guys, when it first happened. I was very angry. And again, these are the things that people complain about: the corruption, right? The excessive use of force, the reckless behavior that officers use when trying to carry out their job, legal or illegally, regardless. Corruption is a problem. Officers with an ego problem are an issue. They try to enforce the law through their feelings, right? You hurt some officers' feelings, they don't know how to control themselves, right? Officers that lie, manipulate information, falsify information, you guys, it should be a federal violation, and it is. Citizens want to see more of this. They want to see more bad officers be caught, investigated, and then sent off to prison where they belong. I am 100% for this. Absolutely. The good officers do not like bad officers, you guys. Period. Period. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Those officers should have been charged on a state level, and now we're looking at federal. But again, there's more to this investigation that needs to be investigated properly. I'm about to go through some Q&A, you guys. I did star some of those who already put the question. I'm gonna go through them, run through the questions. If you have questions in reference to that, especially in reference to that video, police policy, procedure, police reform, any questions at all, I will take those questions. Michelle Anderson, thank you so much for this super chat. She says he will never get credit for it, but Rand Paul pushed for these Fed prosecutions during both administrations. He also wrote the Breonna Taylor bill. Yeah, you know, we got to fix this. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but police officers do get arrested. They are convicted federally for violating people's rights. You don't see it all the time. I see it. I see a lot of it. But again, there are some high profile cases where officers aren't held accountable and people don't understand why. And then there's cases like this where officers clearly were negligent, gross negligence, and they use a lot of they're reckless in their act. And again, some might be due to a training issue, and some due to just criminal nature, right? They're criminal minded. They've lost their way. They fell off the path, and they are out here creating havoc and destroying the relationship between the community and the police force. It is what it is. And so there are officers out here holding other police officers accountable. So let me get through these questions, you guys. If you have a question, please put a Q in front of your statement. I'm going to run through the questions. Thank you again so much, Michelle. And you're right. Rand Paul, he's probably, they'll tell stories about him as the years go by about how, he made some of these things possible. Mooney Rich, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Shout out to you for this super sticker. Thank you so much. Mr. Kelvin 64 says, salute for being a fair man. Thank you, sir. Listen, we do facts over feelings over here. I just keep it real. Keep it real. I keep it real, you guys. Let's go through these questions. Thank you so much for this super chat, you guys. I think, unfortunately, too many people want to make excuses for officers. I've worked with amazing police officers. I've seen officers who were really good and went bad. I've seen officers that went bad and went to prison. I've seen officers who were really good and they held up that integrity throughout their entire career. I've seen officers make honest mistakes and been sent to prison behind it. I've seen officers violate people's rights, violate people's constitutional rights, and been sent to prison behind it. I watched police officers walk into a federal building with a suit on and walk out in handcuffs, you guys. I have people that I know that I went to school with that are probably still in prison right now, right? Police officers. So I've seen police officers be held accountable, you guys. But at the same time, it's not to say that we're not missing some. There are a couple that need to be sent to prison. There are a couple that have gotten away with murder, literally, and we know that. So there is a lot of work that still needs to be done. This action carried out by the federal government is a strong indication that there is still hope. And there's still people who are working diligently to make sure and ensure that officers are being held accountable when they abuse their right, when they abuse their power, that there are people willing to hold them accountable, you guys. So let me go through these questions. Talent T says, question 8, let me know whenever you get the chance about the case of Catherine Johnson. Any of those officers have served jail time for wrongfully shooting up her house and killing her. Is that the Atlanta incident? You have to remind me if the name sounds familiar. I'd have to double check. But if that's the Atlanta incident, then yes. That. Kathleen Johnson. I don't know why the name sounds familiar. I'm trying to. King Me 305 says, how do these civil lawsuits work? How are people not charged, but a city has to pay out a lawsuit, which means there's some wrongdoing? They settled a wrongful death suit. I believe Breonna Taylor's mother got $12 million, right? And along with taking that money, right, there's some strings attached to that. There's some strings attached. Do you love the justice for your daughter more than you love that money? Right? Would you take the money over justice? That's the question. Some people take the money, you guys. Some people will take the money over the justice. You know what I say? I say I want the justice and I want the money. It's no or, it's and. I want the money and give me the justice. Period. Unfortunately, you guys, Some people take the or. Some people take the or. What was it? It's a wrongful death. What happened is the officers were, at the time, based on our understanding of what happened, they were operating under the color of law, meaning they had a legal and justified reason to be at Breonna Taylor's house. And due to the encounter and altercation, what happened? Breonna Taylor died in the process. Well, here's the problem. We thought that everything was on the up and up. Well, we knew it wasn't. But now we found out that they lied. That they lied on the warrant. They lied on the warrant. The affidavit for the search warrant, they lied. And the moment they lied, you guys, we call that a fruit of a poisonous tree. Anything that came from them violating her rights is no good. It's tainted. It's damaged. It cannot be used in a court of law, you guys. One would argue that they might have to run this back because all this stuff was done under the understanding that they had a legal reason to be there. Now they didn't. So she died. They settled the wrongful death, meaning she died by accident. Search warrant process. Shout out to Dre. The search warrant process, you guys. So basically, I'll probably do this one last. This is gonna take the longest to explain. Dre, I'll do this one last. How much training experience did those officers have? I don't know, but I know they weren't trained in tactical. They weren't trained in any type of SWAT tactics. They didn't have any tactical training, from what I understand. Meaning that they shouldn't have been doing what they're doing. And the people who should have been carrying that out should have been the SWAT team. They were not trained for that. They should not have been there. They weren't supposed to be there at all. The Eric Garner situation is a little different because the thing with Eric Garner, though the fact that Eric Garner tragically died, he should not have died, but the officers had a legal reason to address him, to, I guess, cite him. I think they're trying to cite him or address him because they've already dealt with him on several occasions, reference to him violating that law, whatever it was that they had a legal reason and they were justified for addressing him. So if the officer says you've broken the law and it's a fact that you broke the law, no matter how petty you might think or I might think it is, to me, I've had cases like that, people selling CDs, whatever. I'm like, man, just get up out of here. You can't sell them here, or I don't mess with them at all. I know officers that write them tickets or try to arrest them for having, bootleg CDs back when they were bootlegging DVDs and CDs. When I was patrolling, there were some officers that would arrest these people. I thought that was silly. It was stupid to me, right? So, but it doesn't mean it's not legal for the officer to do that. It doesn't mean that person was not breaking the law, though it might be petty, though it might be unnecessary. It doesn't mean it's not illegal, right? And so with the Eric Garner situation, from my understanding, the officers had a legal, justified reason for addressing him, giving him commands. He refused said commands, and the officers decided to detain him or arrest him, and he did not cooperate. And through that lack of cooperation, and then the officer applying that type of choke that he applied, the whole collection of all the stuff that was going on caused his death. So that was another wrongful death suit. What they look at is, was the officer operating in good faith under the color of law? And if so, the officers get the benefit of the doubt, you guys. That's why I tell people on this channel that it doesn't make sense to not cooperate. It's not in your best interest, because if an officer doesn't do a good job of trying to maintain your safety, but they're justified in addressing you or detaining you or arresting you, and you resist, whatever happens after that falls on you. Even if the force that the officer is allowed to allowed to use is justified and the officer uses excessive force, the most that'll happen is the officer will probably get fired. But if the officer was justified in using force, it doesn't mean that the excessive force is okay, right? So two things can be true at the same time. And a lot of times with these cases, you have an officer that is using justified, right? Using justified, or he was justified in using force, but was not justified in the amount of force that he used. And two things can be true at the same time. And that's why officers end up getting fired and not going to jail behind it, because they were legally justified, but not justified in the amount of force or the excessive force, if that makes sense. But yet they still got to pay out, right? Did Ray already? See if you could let me know if the police officer. Was trying to see if you could let me know if police officers were charged in the Katherine Johnson case, Southwest Atlanta. Yeah, they were. Where they shot the elderly woman because they lied. They lied. And I'd have to go back. It was a long time ago since I read all that stuff. But yeah, they made up some information in reference to an informant. They got the wrong house and things like that. And the elderly woman died. Yep. Question from Common Sense Expert says, have they investigated the judge to see if he's putting his hands in the pot? The warrant was poorly written. No, and see, qualified immunity protects the judge because the judge is going based off of the lie that was told to him or her. So the judge is excluded. You can't get the judge because the judge is saying, okay, you verified that what's his name? Jamarcus, I believe, Jamarcus Glover, you verified the connection, the nexus of evidence and circumstance. You connected the dots with the postal inspector. The postal inspector now, which is federal, you lied on the federal investigator, is what they did. So the feds are pissed. The feds don't, listen, you guys, I've worked with the feds. They don't play. And they're sharp, you guys. They're sharp and they're by the book. I've worked with the postal inspector. They have a lot of access. They can do a lot of great things, you guys. And they lied on a federal investigator to secure a warrant that cost Breonna Taylor her life. Oh, I'm not surprised the feds are coming down on them. They're going to get everybody who's involved. Essentially, that's what happened. They lied on a federal investigator. Pretty much. So it's not going to fall on the judge. It falls on the person who lied to the judge, which is which of the four officers they're going after, that they arrested. No. T. Owen says, any chance his charges get dropped? Nope. No, they're not even gonna. The feds won't even. They're not even gonna get. They're not even gonna. They're arrested. They got arrested. No. They got arrested. Let me be clear. They've been arrested, you guys. Arrested and charged. Question from Jacqueline. Shout out to you, Jacqueline. Can Jonathan Mattingly, retired sergeant, be called to testify at the trial? Also, can his book that he wrote about the raid be used in trial? Absolutely. Everything's fair game. Yeah, because this is a whole new thing. Yep. The feds come involved. They can pull up stuff. Yeah, ain't no double jeopardy here because this is feds. This is a whole new entity right here. Feds are looking at this thing. So everything's in play. Darlene says, Nathan, why don't the good cops tell on the bad ones? They do. Some do, some don't, but a lot do. It's the good cops that end up arresting the bad cops. You know, a lot of times you just don't hear about it. There are cases where some officers are uncomfortable because they don't know who to trust. That's a fact. That's true. You have some cases where officers will just quit because they don't want to be a part of it. You have some officers that tell and they stay in the department. I mean, but there are some cases, yeah, absolutely, where some officers don't feel comfortable. And there's a way to fix that, right? The federal agency, honestly, this is a part of my reform package. The federal government needs to have its own investigative force that investigates corruption, which they do have, but they do it for politicians. But they need to have it specifically for law enforcement. It needs to be an anonymous group, right? And that group, there needs to be a unit for every state. There needs to be an investigative unit funded by the federal government to investigate corruption from law enforcement and government officials in their state. And police officers should have a way to anonymously give information and provide evidence about any type of corruption in their police department, no matter where it falls, right? They should be able to anonymously give that information, provide that information safely, securely, and not feel like they're going to be retaliated against. You know, that's the reason why some officers don't speak out about stuff, because you don't know how high up the corruption is. You don't know who's covering for who, or you want to actually expose this officer, but this officer is married to the chief's daughter, right? Nepotism, cronyism. These things are all throughout our government. And so again, you got to create a safe space for officers to report bad behavior. Once you do that, I promise you, and then let them do their job and investigate. And when they find out there's violations, they should be federally charged, right? So that's the only way. That's the only way that works. That's the only way that works. Let me. Any more questions? Let me run it back, just in case I missed some. Any questions? If you have a questions, put a Q in front of your statement, you guys. There's no questions that are off the table. Let me scroll back to see if I missed anything. I want to make sure I caught. Yeah, Dre answered that. That ended the Red Dogs unit. The Red Dogs unit was like that well-renowned unit in Atlanta. They were literally tearing the streets up, and they bended the rules, broke the law, lied, did a whole bunch of stuff they weren't supposed to do, and they got disbanded. Any questions, you guys? Listen, we're ending right on time. I told myself I'm hitting 2 hours, being consistent with my 2-hour live stream, not to overdo it. She said that's your phone vibrating. This one's good. Chris Dorner, that's the one from LAPD. Listen, LAPD, the problem with LAPD, I don't want to say LAPD, but the problem with police departments that are massive, it's easier to hide corruption, right? So there's a method for that too. You know, the bigger the tree, the longer the branches. Branches have branches, and those branches have branches too, you guys. And when things are too big and you're not able to see and watch everything, you know, corruption can fester. Anything you have where transparency is absent in, corruption can fester. So the problem with LAPD and like New York and these large agencies, they have a lot of great officers there, but then they have pockets of bad ones who've been there for way too long. They've saturated themselves in their bad behavior. And guess what? Ego sets in, that power, that lack of respect, that loss and disconnect for why you're doing the job. You lose yourself in the power, you lose yourself in the authority. And next, you know, you turn into a tyrant overnight. Overnight, you guys. Power's corruptive. And every now and then you got to hit the reset button. Some people don't have a reset button. Right? I say it all the time, you guys, the power. What officers suffer from is the idea of unearned respect, meaning the simple fact that the uniform alone, just merely putting on the uniform, garners the respect of people. People submit to the uniform, you guys. Meaning that all I have to do is just wear this and you have to show me respect. That's the biggest problem with law enforcement. people have to respect me because of the uniform, even though I didn't do anything to earn their respect in the first place. So you mean to tell me all I got to do is put this on and you have to acquiesce, right? You have to follow my command. I have power and authority over you, right? The power of unearned respect, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Everybody's not meant to hold power. Yet they let anybody do the job. Anybody, untrained, not emotionally or mentally stable, and they get right in. Corrupt, racist, pedophiles, gang members, militia members, criminals. You guys, everybody named mom is in policing. And then you got the good guys. We're in there too. The power of unearned respect. You have to respect me in this uniform, even if I didn't do anything to garner, receive that respect. You have to respect the uniform, even if I'm not even a respectable person. Even if I'm disrespectful, I still expect you to respect the uniform. You guys, that's the problem. Officers should move with the mindset of every time I encounter a citizen, I have to earn their respect before I expect them to respect me. That's how it's supposed to be. Unfortunately, the way the culture is set up, you have some officers that believe that simply because they have the uniform on, that you are obligated to respect me, even if I'm not a respectable person. And that is ego. That's the problem. That is, I would say, the biggest problem. The biggest problem. Because through that leads a lot of other issues. Shantae Townsend says, hello, I'm new to your channel. Do you think these recent arrests has anything to do with the election cycle, wanting to influence voters? Everything's always political. I will say that. Yeah, I think so. But I think that, and welcome to the channel, by the way. Welcome to the channel. I think all this stuff is always political because, again, this took 2 years. This took 2 years. You know, stuff like this it needs to be more efficient. It needs to be more effective. But again, they were working. There's so many people who have been impeding the investigation. They all need to be charged with obstruction. Anybody. And that goes for Daniel as well. I think there's a strong obstruction charge on him. Absolutely. No, I'm just a little guy, right? What do I know? What do I know? Attorney General. Obstructing. I don't know. Maybe something's there. Any questions, you guys, before we shut it down? How come the judge who signed the warrant could not determine this crew was not qualified? Because that's not the judge's job. You know, unfortunately, the judge is under the impression that, and the judge doesn't know who's actually going to execute the warrant. It's not uncommon that the person who writes the warrant might not be the one executing the said warrant, right? Because technically, a lot of times the warrants are made, then they ask the SWAT team to do it because it's a dangerous warrant. And so they have what they call a threat assessment. A threat assessment is basically, think of it like it's assessing how dangerous the situation is. And if you check certain boxes, it's like, okay, well, we don't need to do it. We need to let the SWAT team do it because it checked all these dangerous circumstances. And so, again, you know, the judge's job is to determine whether or not there's enough probable cause to get this search warrant. That's the only job, the judge's job, to assess that, look at the facts, make sure the nexus connects with the evidence, everything flows properly, and that's it. You know, then you return that search warrant, show the judge the evidence that confirms, hey, this is what I found during the search warrant, or here's what I did not find during the search warrant. And that piece of evidence is turned in and filed with the courts. So the judge's job is only to examine and determine and sign and authorize when there's probable cause for said search warrant, because you are then infringing on a person's Fourth Amendment rights if it comes out that it's not legit. And that's exactly what they did. Yeah, that's the one. Shout out to you, Barbara. Who was the female officer? The female officer is a detective. Her name is I want to say it's Godlet. She works for the department. I don't know if she's a detective. I think she's a detective, and she helped with the conspiracy to cover up the warrant. I don't know. Again, so according to the Department of Justice, allegedly Godlet conspired with James and Meany to falsify the search warrant for Taylor's home and to cover up the actions afterwards. So that's what they all three of them played a role in. Shout out to you, Miss Watchman. Shout out to you. Glad to see you in here. Question. Shout out the Indian Jesus in the building. He says, question. What is getting in the way of the federal body you were just talking about? Shoot, I'm a little behind. What's getting in the way from the federal body? You got to run that back. Run that back. Because I might have missed it. I might have. Yeah, Internal Affairs is who initially interviewed them after the shooting. So after the shooting, Internal Affairs investigated them. Now, the problem is, this is one of the issues with policing. People are saying, you know, if officers fail at their job, why do we have the same police department investigating in their crimes, right? There needs to be an outside agency that does it, in my opinion, because unfortunately, and again, this is my opinion, you have some departments that have the trust is broken. And if the trust is broken, you need to do things that's gonna rebuild that trust. And departments who failed that, have questionable practices, I think there should be a third-party agency that handles that investigation. Here in Georgia, anytime there's an officer involved shooting, the agency does not get involved. The GBI does, right? They're essentially like the FBI for the state. That's like the best way to describe it. They're a state investigator. They're neutral. They're supposed to be neutral. Our GBI does a fantastic job. They're an amazing group of investigators here, and they come with the facts, raw truth, and data, and they handle business, and they don't play. The GBI, are the ones who investigated the Ahmaud Arbery case and prosecuted the McMichaels, right? So the GBI came up months later and was putting asses in handcuffs, and they did a phenomenal job getting the evidence and prosecuting everything and handling business. So the GBI here, they're on point. And so, you know, that's a question. That's one of the things that a lot of people question. Again, let me see. So Internal Affairs, you know, so they're supposed to investigate police misconduct within the police department. Some people don't like that idea because, you know, you could be biased, right? And so that can be true. You have some departments that don't have that problem. You have some departments that they are biased and they give themselves a slap on the wrist. So what the citizens are saying is, nah, we don't feel comfortable with that because y'all been playing around. We want someone else to start doing it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's something that should be looked into and implemented. Let me see. Put a Q in front of your questions, you guys. Let's scroll through. This is a good one. Coach Keith says, would you put an age limit on being a police officer? Yes, I would. I believe 25. I believe no one under the age of 25 should be a cop. I started when I was 21. I was way too young. I was way too young. By the grace of God, I had some good sense about myself. I was raised right. And I truly, truly wanted to serve and help people. I didn't fall to temptation. I know a lot of officers who did not fall for temptation. They had integrity, they were honest, disciplined, and they really enjoyed the job. But I don't believe I was old enough, honestly, to handle that. I think I did a good job, but I know I did a good job, but I also know that that I was very blessed. I was very lucky that I didn't get caught up in a big ego trip. You know, I had my moments and things like that, but I kept myself very grounded, and I listened. I listened when I was being taught, when people were teaching, and I'm a very humble person. I've always been, but you know, that's not everybody, right? That's not everybody's story. So I think a mature age, I believe that the academy needs to be a minimum of 2 years. I believe that officers should have a college degree. I don't think they should just let anybody into this job. I think it needs to be looked and crafted more like a profession. I believe the pay needs to match the level of risk, and so forth and so on. Less is more when it comes to policing. Less is more. It should be quality over quantity, because that's a big problem. If you guys have not seen the stream from last night, we talked about the incident with the young lady who filled out the police car, and we just talked about the incompetency behind those two officers. Yes, Barbara. Yes. What is Barbara saying? Question: the grand jury came out publicly about Cameron. Can that not be used against him? Puppet or no puppet, he has to be held accountable. He blatantly, yeah, he did on the young lady in her family. The grand jury was like, he didn't give us any evidence about anything. He didn't give us anything about this case. He withheld stuff. He didn't tell us all the details. He just told us this and told us that and was like, here you go. This is all y'all have. Honestly, it looks like obstruction of justice to me. That's me. I don't know what the feds are doing, but hopefully their reach can reach. But that's my personal opinion. And yes, they did come out and say that he finessed them. So many ways, you guys. The grand jury came out and said Daniel finessed them. And because of double jeopardy, they can't go back and redo it. Let me see. Question: what's a political prisoner? A prisoner that basically politicians are using for their own. It's weird. It's like, it's kind of self-explanatory. Politics are playing a role in how Brittany Griner is about to be handled. On one end, the problem with her, and not to get too far off topic, is that she threw the country under the bus, and said a lot of things about the country, and turned her back on the anthem and did all those things. So it's not a good look, right? For a lot of people, they're like, why should we help her out? She's been disrespecting the country about this, that, and the other. And then she goes over to another country, gets herself in trouble, and then she wants the country to bail her out. It's not a good look. So political prisoner means now is that, okay, the Russia can now use her for leverage to get things that they might want, stuff like that. It becomes a problem because this country is trying to punish Russia for the war. So they're like, hey, do you want this person more than you want to punish me? Right? So now she becomes leverage. There's a arms dealer here. I was going to talk about this too, but I was kind of like, I didn't really see any value in really talking about it, to be honest. But for the sake of it, real quickly, the thing with I'll address it real quick. The thing with Brittany, she's a political prisoner. They're going to use her to gamble with some politics, try to get some moves made. The question is, U.S. has some Russian prisoners over here. I think an arms dealer, who's been arrested. He's been incarcerated here in U.S. prison. They might do a swap for her. There's some other people who've been arrested in Russia who military are over there, and they want them back. So now they're going to play politics. If you give me this person, I'll give you another person. I'll give you 2 for 1 or whatever. But again, do you hate this country more than you want this person back? So I don't know. I don't know. What would I do? It's just like those basketball, the boys who are Reggie's son, what's his name, Ball or something like that. One of the guys, his son in the NBA, was in China, and he was shoplifting in the store in China, and his dad's rich. He's an idiot. Trump got him back. I would have left him over there. That's just me though. I'd have left him over there. You embarrass me like that, and I got millions. I'm rich. I got millions of dollars, and you're shoplifting. You stay in China. You better get a job. You better get a job out there. What is in the way of this type of federal? Oh, question. What is the way of this type of federal oversight? What's in the way? I would say corruption and cooperation. And I would say people lack the imagination. People lack, and I think you're referring to me saying, how come they can't put a special unit together? Well, one, because in order to solve a problem, you have to know the problem, and you have to know the profession to understand why the problem exists. The problem is a lot of people are trying to create police reform, and they were never police officers. They never really did the job. They don't understand it. They're just trying to please a bunch of people. They're trying to please the people in their pockets. See, I understand the job very well. I've done a job for a long time. I work for a very large police department. I saw things. I understand how things work. I understood how corruption works, how it manifests, how it festers, why it never goes away, how people, I get it. I'm just very analytical. I pay attention. I'm very observant, and I don't know. It's hard to explain, but that's a side of my brain, I would say a gift, where I could see things. It just makes sense to me, and then I'm always interested in trying to solve it. So for me, it's about being creative, understanding what would discourage. And I know why officers don't speak out sometimes about situations. They don't feel like they can say it to anyone who will do something about it or has the power to be able to do something about it. So if that's the only thing keeping officers from speaking out, or some people say, oh, they're scared. No, it's not even that. It's that there's so much political, I won't say political, there's so much policy tape that interferes. Even you have some departments that want to fire officers, but they have to go through so many steps because that's just how it's set up. And there's no way around it. So everything's not what it appears to be. I know that. Other officers know that. There are bad officers that sit on the shift and they don't do enough to get fired. You just can't fire people because you want to. Funding, you got to pay for that. Who's going to pay for that unit? Right? Who's going to pay for that unit? You're exposing bad officers. So again, how many police departments are going to want to be on board for that? Right? Who's going to want that negative attention if it finds out that they're officers? So there's all these different things about pride and ego, but it's in the best interest for the citizens. Unfortunately, in this country, it's starting to look like we are not the people anymore, right? And that we don't have the power to get things done because we just let our government do what they want to do. And that's the problem. We've relinquished so much power to people, and now we're complaining about it. And now we're asking for them to do something instead of taking the power back. So anytime a government official violates the trust of the public, they should be fired. And they should be charged, period. Somehow they find ways to skate around all this other stuff and they get protected and blah, blah, blah. That's the problem. So, again, who wants to discipline themselves? Nobody. Link says, would you agree that the police department needs to be under federal oversight? No. I believe that that police departments need to be under the oversight of the citizens. The oversight of the citizens. That is where the biggest problem is too much government on government on government, right? The people are nowhere to be found. The people need to control transparency, not the government. The government needs to work on behalf and the instruction of the citizens. Citizens need to be at the table. Now it needs to be a trained group of citizens, needs to be a diverse group of citizens, but citizens nonetheless. And they need to be able to monitor the federal government overseeing the police departments, if that makes sense. We don't need another layer of red tape, because if that tape gets corrupt, then it does no good to the citizens. You can't do it without citizen oversight. The people need to oversee it. They need to just be able to dictate when the federal oversight is actually doing what they need to do. They need to be present. Citizens need to be at the table when these police departments are being seen, right, and investigated. Yeah, no agency should police should police themselves. Absolutely. What about the person that gave the search warrant to the officers? Yeah, those are the ones. Yeah, the first two and the last one. Those are the ones who did it. Those are the ones who are being who've been arrested. Shout out to you, Uncle Stu. Thank you so much for this $5 super chat. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Hope you're doing well, Uncle Stu. Hope you're doing well. People always want to know. People always want to know. Good question. Did you stand up to bad cops? Yeah, when I came across them, I sure did. Sure did. I almost had to put my hand on one too. Yep, I checked a couple. Yep. There were some cops that were bad I didn't know were bad, and then one day I come to work, found out they got arrested for doing bad stuff. You know, someone says, shout out to you, Brace Clutch. I see your head shining. Got the light on, got the ring light on too bright. Shout out to you, bro. Did you stand up for bad cops? Did you stand up to bad cops? Yeah. The ones that I saw. You know, there's a misconception that corrupt officers just do corrupt stuff around the good officers. You guys, they don't. They don't. They do the corrupt stuff around the other corrupt officers. You know, majority of the time, the vast majority of the time. You know, if I saw something that was inappropriate, I addressed it. I didn't have corrupt officers hanging out with me. No, not at all, ever, in all of my 13 years. You know, I've seen officers get arrested for a multitude of things. Sometimes just stupidity, and some of those things were corrupt and criminal behavior, stealing, robbing, working for drug dealers, undercover as gang members inside the police force. You know, you guys have seen it all. I wasn't the one that caught them. They did something messed up and they got investigated on, and the department ended up arresting them. You know, but I didn't know. There were guys I've searched homes with, done all kind of stuff with, and then a couple years later, found out they're being picked up by the federal government. I did a video on it. There are officers who start off really good and they get tainted. This is facts. You know, there are officers that come in tainted. You know, so yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Let me see. Any questions? Dre said Brittany Griner is like a political pawn. They'll swap. Facts. I hear you, bro. I hear you. Let me see if I'm missing any. And then we're gonna. I'm sorry, y'all. Scrolling through, make sure I don't miss any questions. All right. That's it. That's it. So listen, you guys, we're gonna end it at 2 hours, 30 minutes. I think this is perfect. Listen, shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight, having the conversation, listening to me lose it earlier. This is just it, this whole thing, man. It frustrates me, angers me, but it is good to see people making efforts to look into these things, and again holding officers accountable when they fail, when they're wrong, when they break the law. You guys, they absolutely have to be held accountable. We cannot have that in this profession. It is what it is. I've seen officers get arrested. I know officers that are still in prison today behind their actions. So it is what it is. I don't feel sorry for them, but every time we make progress in some little form or fashion, we end up taking 3 steps back because of what these officers do, make these poor choices. So anyways, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for those who donated. Thank you so much to the members, you guys. And listen, if you're new to the channel, welcome. We'd love to have you as a member. Please subscribe to the channel. Please share this content, especially if you found this information informative, you guys. And thank you for the questions. They were great questions. Thank you to those who super chatted. Thank you so much. I hope that you found this to be informative, that you learned something. If I missed your question, if you had a question, please feel free to drop it in the comment section, guys. I definitely go through the comment section and check as much as possible. And shout out to you, my Lois Lane. She sends a $10 super chat. She's also a member of the channel. Thank you so much, love. I really, really, really appreciate it. Right on time as we're sliding out the door. You guys, listen, you're not going to get a lot of officers that are going to be like me, right? I'm the only one on YouTube willing to be honest and real and give you a real perspective on this job, on this profession. Listen, I love the police. I love good officers. I love officers who are doing this job for the right reason. White, black, Asian, Hispanic. It doesn't matter their skin color. They're doing the job, right? It takes bravery to put the uniform on, you guys, but it takes courage to do the job. Unfortunately, we do have people in the profession that don't belong in it for a multitude of reasons. And when they make mistakes, when they make gross, negligible mistakes, when they commit crimes, when they violate people's rights on purpose, you guys, they need to be held accountable. Accountability and transparency is an absolute must in order to fix this problem. There's no way around it. Absolutely no way around it. And if we're not willing to call out the mistakes, then we're only going to continue to coddle the bad behavior. And that can't happen either. The citizens are asking for a change. It's on the profession to make the change. And we have to make the first steps. It just is what it is, right? It is what it is. So with that being said, you guys, please, again, questions. He said, need to create a super chat music beat to salute. Nathan, we know you love the po-po. Question, do you love the rights of humans more? I do, man. I do. I love the rights of innocent people who deserve to have the right of peace, freedom, tranquility, right? Freedom of being abused and harassed, assaulted, hurt, injured, and from anybody, right? Criminals or government officials, anybody, So I like the idea of people being happy, being free, and free to go and from where they need to go without feeling like they're going to be a victim of a crime, right? So, however that needs to come about. So, there's never going to be a society where there are not people there to enforce the laws. Just not going to happen. Not going to happen. So, we're going to have to figure it out. We got to figure it out. Even if the police are involved, somebody is going to have to enforce rules. And where there's rules to be enforced, there are rules to be broken. How do you deal with those who break the rules? Right? It's not a utopia. It's not a utopia. I wish, but it's not a utopia. Yep. Yes, thank you, Gail. Shout out to you, Gail. Shout out to the moderators. You guys, tomorrow, Lapeef takes over Atlanta. I will be speaking at the event, and I'm excited. You guys, if you want to catch us there, the information is here at the bottom. Shout out to Gail. I forgot all about that. I should have mentioned it earlier. It is a Friday and Saturday event. I will be speaking at the event. So shout out to Lapeef for inviting me on. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I can get some clips and send it back to you guys. But if you're interested, please, call in, check Eventbrite for tickets if you're in Atlanta and want to show up. Nonetheless, you guys, good stream. Any questions, you guys, put it in the comment section. Yeah, with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for tonight. I really, really appreciate all of your support. This was an interesting topic. So we'll see where it goes. I'm gonna stay on top of it. Of course, it's gonna be all through the news, and I'll let you guys know on any updates. So, and we'll see if any more heads roll behind this. But this is a good start of addressing the issue and holding those officers who violated the law, violated their rights, are being held accountable. So, anyways, you guys, thank you so much for tonight. Love you guys, and stay tuned for the next videos. See you next Wednesday on the stream and the interview with Breonna Taylor. So you don't want to miss it. Next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Don't want to miss you guys. All right. Have a good night. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Good night. God bless.